Lesson 7-7, Multi-Step Division Number Stories. The focus of this lesson is for you to solve a multi-step number story, for you to be able to discuss strategies for solving those multi-step division number stories. And in the end, I want you to be able to solve and assess the reasonableness of your answers to multi-step division stories. A lot of division involving a lot of multiplication knowledge. Let's take a look once again at our mental math and fluency division problems. 63 divided by 7. I hope you're practicing those math fact triangles because they're really going to help you here on out till the end of 4th grade. And they're going to expect you to know your multiplication answers and to know some of the division answers based on what you've learned this year. So keep practicing them over summer break. 63 divided by 7. Well, remember, I can reverse this answer and say, what times 7 equals 63? 9. 42 divided by 6. If division is still hard for you, think, what times 6 is 42? 7. And again, 36 divided by 4. You could think, what times 4 is 36? And you should know that is 9. If you are practicing your multiplication facts 10 minutes nightly, you should be able to answer those almost as quickly as I am. Let's take a look at this math message. It says, Josh and 2 of his friends own a lemonade stand. On a hot Saturday, they sold $171 worth of lemonade in 5 hours. They needed $36 to pay for their supplies. If the boys split the remaining money evenly, how much money did Josh make per hour? I want you to think about the steps you're going to need to take in order to figure out this answer. So one way you may have solved this problem is you may have subtracted the money for supplies from the total, meaning you had $171 and then the supplies were $36, which we need to trade or borrow. 11 minus 6 is 5. 6 minus 3 is 3. And the 1 minus nothing is 1. Then we can divide the remaining money by 5 to see how much each one will get. So 153, wow, I'm saying a lot wrong here today, ain't I? 135 divided by 5. So remember what I showed you of the steps for division. Drexler Middle School Bobcats is how I set that up. So my first set is to divide. So 1 divided by 5 I cannot do, so I can put a little 0 there. Now I take the next number along with it, and I do it again. Divide. 13 divided by 5. Well, I know that goes twice. I've divided. What's my next step? Multiply. 2 times 5 is 10. Now what's my next step? Subtract. 13 minus 10 is 3. And my final step is to bring down any number that's left. So I bring the 5 down alongside the 3. And now my new number is 35. Once I get down to B, bring down, I go back up and start all over again with this new number. 35 divided by 5. 7. Multiply back. 7 times 5 is 35. Notice I had already multiplied the 2 back, so I only do the multiplication with my new number. Now I subtract. 35 minus 35 is 0. There isn't another number to bring down, so my answer is 27. 27 is the quotient. Well, another way I could set that up is I could do, again, just 171 minus 36. And then I'm going to divide that by 5. And I'm sorry, I don't know why I put this here yet, because I'm not quite ready yet. I wanted to do that later because I need to do this step. And then I'm going to divide by 3 to get my answer. Now I noticed on this step, I forgot to do 27 divided by 3. 3 again does not go into 2, so I put a 0. 3 will go into 27 9 times. I multiply back. 9 times 3 is 27. I subtract. 27 minus 27 is 0. Nothing to bring down. This is my true answer. So once I do this step, which is basically the same, I will figure out that 171 minus 36 is 135. And then if I divide that by 5, I come up with my answer of 27 for this total equation here. That total answer now is 27. Now I take 27 divided by 3, and I figure out that my P is the number 9. So next I want you to go to Math Journal page 245 and 246. 245 and 246 are the assessment check-in. Remember, you can rewind this recording and replay it to see how I explained the previous problem. But I am going to do one problem with you again to give you another way to solve and more practice with these multi-step division number stories. So on Math Journal, page 245, read it silently to yourself as I read it out loud, and it says, for each problem, you need to make an estimate and solve, and then make sure you answer the questions. Margaret and her friend have 2 summer job offers. A job babysitting is for 8 hours each week. With Margaret and her friend both working this job, they would earn $208 each week. A summer camp job is for 7 hours each week, and together they would earn $210 each week. Which job pays more per hour for each girl, and then how much more per hour? Well, I like to label mine, so I'm going to put B for babysitting. That way I know everything that I'm doing for this is going to involve babysitting. And since I read this first part, I can cross that line off so I'm not looking at too much information at once. And it says the job babysitting is for 8 hours each week. And with Margaret and her friend both working this job, they would earn $208. Okay, well, if I have $208, and I'm sorry, I'm doing the estimate first, and I want to actually do the equation first because for me, that's easier. So again, B babysitting. I make $208 for 2 people, so I'm going to divide that in half. And then I'm going to divide it by 8 hours because that's going to give me how much per hour I'm making. And now again, for the summer camp job, I'm going to make that a C for camping. It said I'm going to make $210 per hour, per week, I'm sorry. Again, divided by the 2 girls. But this time, I'm only going to be working 7 hours. So I'm going to be dividing by 7. And that's going to equal how many hours. Then I'm going to take whichever one is larger and subtract it from the other one to figure out which one actually is going to pay more. So up here again, you're going to want to put B for babysitting, C for camp, and you're going to estimate. So 208, I would probably round to 210. I'm still going to divide by 2. And then my 8, I'm going to round up and divide by 10 again to come up with my answer. And with my other one, 210, again, close to 200. I'm going to divide again by the 2. And again, I'm going to round 7 up to 10 and then come up with my answer. Please finish problem number 1, 2, then bring it back, page 245 in your math journal for me to check for the assessment check-in. Once I know you have 2 completed correctly, I will send you to do math journal page 246, do those 2 problems, and again bring it up to me so I can check to make sure you have done that page correctly. I am going to read number 2 for those students who need it. So if you're going to pause the recording and do those 2 pages on your own, go ahead and do so now. The rest of you, you can either pause the recording and do number 1, or you can listen to number 2 and then pause it and do both. Number 2 says, Anna wants to put 72 baseball cards in an album. A square album fits 4 cards per page, and a rectangular album fits 5 cards per page. How many more pages will she need to fit all the cards if she uses the square album rather than the rectangular album? So again, I would clearly mark my estimate. First is for the square album, and then you have to look. You're going to need to use the 72 baseball cards need to go in an album, and the square album fits 4 per page, so you'll be using 4 in this number estimate sentence. The next one, for the rectangular, I would put an R for rectangular. You're still going to use 72 baseball cards, but this time you're going to do 5 cards per page. So these should be set up as division problems, and then you have to answer the final question. She will need to fit all the cards if she uses a square album rather than the rectangular album. How many more pages? So make sure that you answer that question before you're done. Pause the recording now and finish page 245. When you finish these pages, hopefully I've asked you, what did you do with the remainders in problems 2 and 4? Did you ignore them? Did you have to round up? Or did you just kind of forget about them? And why was it important to figure out what to do with the remainder before answering the question? Hopefully you realize that you got to figure out what to do with that remainder in order to answer that question correctly. After I've done the assessment check-in for Math Journals page 240, 5 and 246, I need you to do Math Journal page 247. Again, I'll be reading the directions. If you do not need that, pause the recording now, finish Math Journal page 247, and go up and correct it in the answer key. If you do need me to read them, remember I am going to go through each math box. You need to stop and pause the recording after each direction for that math box because I'm not going to state it for you to do that. You need to do that on your own. Math box number 1 tells you to solve by multiplying. Use any method you would like. Number 2, we brought 6 granola bars to the game. At the end of the game, there were 2.5 bars left. How many bars were eaten? Show your number model with your answer. Math box 3. Draw the next square figure in the pattern below. Describe that pattern. Number 4. Use this line plot to answer the question. This says water left and part of the water bottles. The bottles are all the same size. If you combine the water in the bottles that are 4/8 full, this one, how much water would you have? How many bottles? And number 5, Paula's answer to problem 4 is 4/8. Explain why her answer is or is not correct. Pause the recording, do Math Journal page 247, and then check it in the answer key. Now that you've corrected Math Journal page 247, your final assignment is Math Masters page 276. So please go get that from the answer key. Answer file. It says, Robert and Jason went to buy a group ticket package for football games. Package A costs $276 and includes 2 tickets for each of the 6 games. Package B costs $336 and includes 2 tickets for each of the 8 games. Which package charges more?